It's 2025, and you know what that means. A whole lot of FNAF content to look forward to this year. I actually did a poll recently on my channel, and you guys voted that you're all very excited for the FNAF 2 movie. And don't get me wrong, I'm pretty excited too. But in my opinion, I think the thing I'm most excited for this year would be Secret of the Mimic. I haven't been this excited for a game since Security Breach. Even though we haven't seen much of it, it looks very promising, especially with, our new character, the Mimic. And as we all know from the trailers, this game is going to take place in 1979, which is going to be the earliest Five Nights at Freddy's game we've ever gotten. One thing I was wondering when they announced the date for the first game is how they plan to implement a new character and say that they've just been here the whole time in the shadows. But what if that's not the case? What if they have been in other games and we just haven't put 2 and 2 together? So what I want to do in this video is go back through every single mainline FNAF game and see if the Mimic has been in other games before or just the new recent ones. So let's take a deep dive into FNAF's history as we go Mimic hunting. So I want to start off by pointing out the 2 games that have absolutely no ties to the Mimic at all, that being FNAF 1 and surprisingly FNAF 4. I looked through every single thing those games have to offer, and there is no sign of the Mimic or Jackie anywhere. Now with FNAF 1, this actually makes sense because I doubt Scott even had any idea what the Mimic was back in 2014. But FNAF 4 surprises me because with Secret of the Mimic taking place in 1979 and FNAF 4 taking place in 1983, you would think there'd be some kind of sign of the Mimic, and yet there's nothing. Which, to be fair, it does still make sense seeing as this was 2015 and Scott still had no idea what the Mimic was. This was never the plan. However, these are the only 2 games where there's no sign of the Mimic, and I think I was able to point out where they might be in every other game. And let's start with the Paper Pals. I'm sure many of you saw Game Theory's video on this, and I agree with them that I think the 3rd Paper Pal from FNAF 2 is a representation of Jackie, the 3rd clown character that's been there since the beginning. And I think the fact that they've shown up so many different times in the series, and I mean there's clearly some importance to them. Starting with FNAF 2, it just has no resemblance to anyone from that game specifically. And Scott clearly wants to make attention to that one specifically because on a rare chance, it can actually show up in your office and just stare at you. Then in FNAF 3, it's been heavily focused on because it's the only Paper Pal shown in the scrapped toy animatronics box. You just see it hanging out of there. I will say though that the Bonnie Paper Pal is the one to move into your office in the game instead. But I feel like the fact that it's still in the scrapped toy animatronics box and was used in teasers and stuff, I feel like that's more focused on than that one Easter egg of Bonnie. And then the big one that Game Theory pointed out in FNAF World is one of their movesets is literally called Mimic. I mean, I'm almost convinced that's not just a coincidence. And in Pizza Sim, we got new versions of the Paper Pals with 2 brand new characters, but again, the 3rd one is almost identical to the one in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Red arms, blue legs, big red button nose. It's the same character. And then in UCN, both versions of the Paper Pals show up in the game, though they don't really do anything. They are present within William Afton's Hell. And then in the most recent game, Into the Pit, they show up again. You can tell that these are the Pizza Sim version ones because of the one on the right having the blue and green arms. And then there's an Easter egg where you could put a 4th Paper Pal on, and guess which one it is? The clown one from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. There's clearly attention put to the Paper Pals, even up to the most recent game in the series, so they are clearly important for something. Alright, let's move on to suspect number 2. Alright, suspect number 2 is the clown drawing from Pizza Sim. When you're playing the office sections of Pizza Sim, when looking at one of the vents, you can notice a pretty creepy drawing of a clown, and most people wondered at the time who this character even was because there's no one really resembling this character. But if you really look at the drawing, there are a lot of similarities to Jackie, between the giant red puffy hair that kind of grows out into two ends, the giant wide smile with the red lipsticks, the big red nose, the white kind of like puffy clothing. This clown character is very, very reminiscent of Jackie. And it shows up a lot as well. It shows up multiple times in Pizza Sim itself, like with the background of the secret screens with the scrap animatronics. It shows up a little in UCM, but again, it is prevalent there. And it does have that very cryptic Easter egg in Curse of Dreadbear, where if you hit all the clown posters with a dart, the whole room goes purple, and then there's an "It's Me" banner there. I mean, that could be a pretty big sign that it's related to the Mimic because, as we know, in Help Wanted, Glitchtrap is a pretty big player, and for what we've gathered, it seems pretty clear that the narrative is that Glitchtrap is a version of the Mimic 1 program trying to replicate being William Afton. So when I see this Easter egg, I'm thinking, oh, it's saying that the clown, on one end, it's Glitchtrap saying, oh, this clown is what I used to be, it's me. Maybe I'm reaching a bit, but I think there's a pretty clear connection with this Easter egg trying to tie in this clown character to the now established Glitchtrap character. I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that this clown character that they've been teasing since FNAF 6 does turn out to be Jackie in Secret of the Mimic. Fair warning before I talk about the third suspect, this is the reason why theory is in the title of this video, because what I'm about to explain is very, very speculative, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm just sharing what I think is going on. But before I reveal who I think suspect number 3 is, let me show you guys a clip from one of Daco's meme reviews.
Died in 2017, born in 2024. Welcome back, Fixed Ennard. I remember when everybody was talking about what did Ennard look like before he went, you know, what's the mask? What is Ennard? Like, where did that mask come from? So it's pretty cool to see that. And I really do hope one day we get to see Ennard. Maybe he'll be in this. Maybe he'll be in Secret of the Mimic as like a blueprint character with Circus Baby and stuff. It's going to be interesting to see.
That's right. I think that whatever Ennard used to be before they were just a hanging mask in a bunker underground, they used to be the same character as Jackie. Something I want to talk about is the fact that nobody really questions what Ennard was before he was just a mask hanging there, like what character he was supposed to be in Circus Baby's Pizza World, because again, prior to the Mimic and Jackie even being a creation, he didn't resemble any character from the franchise and was just at the time a blank clown mask. But with the information we have now, I think it's pretty safe to say that whoever Ennard used to be is the same character as what Jackie is supposed to be. I'm even going to go ahead and take this theory a step further, and I'm gonna say that the Night 4 Springlock suit is Ennard's suit. Now, before you start getting your pitchforks and torches, let me explain. In the first interview Daco did with Scott, this is what he had to say about the Springlock suit from Sister Location.
So here's an interesting one, which I don't know if you're going to answer or not. So in Night 4, when we're inside the suit, a lot of people wanted to know whose suit is that.
Whose suit is that? I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to answer that for you.
That's fine.
That's going to have to remain a topic of discussion.
The condition for Daco was that he could answer a question about the series as long as it wasn't too lore important, which means that whoever's suit that is in the Sister Location bunker, that's not just a throwaway detail, it is an important story beat. And I think another reason I'm connecting this back to Jackie and the Mimic is what Baby says about the suit during Night 4.
You're inside something that came from my old pizzeria. I don't think it was ever used. At least not the way it was meant to be used. Too dangerous. It's just big enough for one person to fit inside, but just barely. There's something very important that I've learned how to do over time. Do you know what that is? How to pretend. Do you ever play make-believe? Pretend to be one way when you are really the other? It's very important. Ballora never learns. But I do. They think there is something wrong on the inside. The only thing that matters is knowing how to pretend.
There's two things to point out from Baby's lines. One, someone died in the Springlock suit. Go figure. I mean, who doesn't die in a Springlock suit? But the second thing to note of is during this whole monologue of Baby's, she's talking about how she's mastered the ability to pretend, which is foreshadowing for how she was pretending to be our ally just to get us into the scooping room and be able to leave the bunker. Baby is specifically insistent on the use of the word pretend, which almost sounds like she's trying to mimic behavior. In fact, she does this later in the private room ending, where she mimics Elizabeth's voice to try to lure Michael out of the office. Now, at the end of the day, these are all just little details I noticed that hang on threads to each other and have no real strong connections. But I feel like when talking about the Mimic, these are pretty noteworthy things that I feel like not enough people are talking about. So let's get back to some more solid evidence of the Mimic. Now, I'm sure to most of you, I don't have to explain who Glitchtrap is, but I feel like in a video talking about all the appearances of the Mimic, I kind of have to talk about him. So he was first introduced in Help Wanted, and as I understand the story now, it seems like because of the circuit boards that Fazbear Entertainment scanned into their game to make it easier to finish programming the game, the Mimic 1 program was put into the game and saw all the bad things that happened with Fazbear Entertainment and is trying to mimic William Afton. And that's why it takes on the form of the old Spring Bonnie costume from Fredbear's Family Diner. And then, some point in time later, it possesses Vanessa through the game and uses her to become more than what he already is. He can only do so much as a virus. To actually be William Afton, he needs a body, which then brings us to Security Breach, where underneath the Pizzaplex lies the Pizza Sim location, and where Vanny constructs Burn Trap, Glitchtrap's new body. While the Burn Trap ending isn't canon, I still believe that this is what was going on during Security Breach. And before I talk about what becomes a Burn Trap, let's talk about what Glitchtrap's role in Help Wanted 2 is. You don't see him very much during the game, but in one of the endings, after you've collected all the poppets of the main characters and put them all together, Glitchtrap forms, and then Vanessa takes him and crushes him, and that extension of the Mimic is done for. Glitchtrap is dead, according to Steel Will. So while the Mimic 1 program never got to fully become William Afton, that is not the true form of the Mimic. The endoskeleton itself is the final appearance to talk about of the Mimic. Underscore made a pretty good video about this, so I would go check his out for a more detailed explanation of this. But it seems like after Vanny built Burn Trap's body, the aftermath of the Princess Quest ending shows Gregory and Vanessa going down to the FNAF 6 location and burying the Mimic in the basement area using Mexus to stop anyone from going down there and freeing him. But then, due to the fact that Gregory left his walkie-talkie there, he was able to lure Cassie down there by pretending to be Gregory. And to some people, the costume that he makes in the basement may even like have been made to look like Gregory. So then it chases Cassie in the basement until eventually Cassie gets to the elevator to make her way out of the basement, and Gregory, supposedly the real Gregory, tells her that it's too much of a hazard to let her leave because the Mimic could escape, and sends the elevator dropping down, and we cut to black. That's the last we see of the Mimic. Well, I guess at least in that ending. There is the other ending with the Scooper that we see take out the Mimic, and there's the Brazil ending where we basically see Cassie go insane with the Vanny mask. We don't really know which ending is canon, but regardless, it seems like the current story of the Mimic is Cassie and the Mimic are both down in this basement area and they're both trapped. Now, I don't know if they'll actually address this, seeing as Secret of the Mimic is going to be a prequel to all the games, but maybe towards the end they'll like show what's going on then, or like maybe a teaser for the next game where it shows the aftermath of Ruin. But as of right now, that is every appearance of the Mimic that I could point out in the mainline games. If you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. It would make me very happy. And to make sure that you don't miss out more videos like this. But for now, that's all for this video. And I'll see you guys next time.